Uh, because this is my first time, I'm not going to try to talk extempore. So I'm going to read, through this to help me so that I don't forget anything that I want to say. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm Aruna Sarode from Round Lake, Illinois. And I feel honored to speak with you here tonight. And I thank the Friends of Western Art for this opportunity. I'd like to thank Patty Carnevale for inviting me, Amy Merkel and Alicia Taylor for coordinating, and Hugh Fletcher for his huge help with the presentation and setup. Thank you to all the lovely people here this evening for coming to listen to me. Looking at all the great artist speakers before me, believe me, I checked the YouTube, all the way back. I feel like a dwarf in the company of giants, really. So thank you. And this is my very first time speaking to a large audience. So I'm totally nervous, but Patty mentioned that you're a very friendly group of people. So I'm sure you will pardon me if I mess up. Okay. Thank you. So now I don't have the clicker here.
I think it's because I dropped it on the floor.
Oh, sure.
Oh, here.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you. Yeah, my first slide. This is my family. My son Arjun and my husband Nitin, who is way back there. I made him sit there so I don't feel. I didn't want to see him and mess up more. Unfortunately, our son Arjun passed away in 2017. So it's just the two of us now with a big hole in our hearts and his loving memories for a lifetime. So I'm thankful for my art practice for giving me solace and also an escape. A little bit about me. I'm a software engineer and paint during my weekends. So I had a passion for art since childhood, like many artists do. So I developed it along the way, and then it's just part of me now. I don't see it as separate. Like I have to paint. Yeah. I paint mostly in oils, but occasionally in watercolors and acrylics. My subject matter also varies. The connecting thread being beauty and connection. I guess I look for beauty or a subject that tugs at my heart, that connects with me, or even the viewer. I'll have a video to introduce you with my, art, the type of artwork that I do. So you will. Thank you. Looking back to my childhood, my mother was instrumental in recognizing my drawing skills at that time, and she helped nurture it. She was a dynamic lady, always busy with one or the other craft project, never wasted a single minute. Here is a picture of her with my siblings and me at her 83rd birthday celebration last year in January. She passed away in May. So, Mom, this is for you. We had a great drawing teacher, Mr. Daivagna, who taught us the basic drawing skills and shading. We had just one art class per week, but I remember eagerly waiting for that one class. A set of color pencils, 2B to 6B, they used to be my prized possessions. And the tortillas that we use for blending the graphite, rolling the paper to make the perfect tortilla used to be my favorite pastime. So during my school vacation, I remember my mother took me to this one hobby class where they would teach painting on fabric. But the teacher said they don't teach, youngsters. They don't follow instructions well. But my mother said, let her sit through one class and, then you can decide if she's any good. So by the end of the first class, though, mine was the best looking painting. So I was allowed to stay. So that was my first introduction to paints, Later on, I attended oil painting class enough to, give me the foundational skills with materials. We used to use turpentine that time, not anymore. Now we are fast forwarding, really fast forwarding. I completed my bachelor's in engineering, got married, worked at an IT company. My son was born, and then we came to USA during the Y2K crisis, when we needed all the software programmers in the world to fix the IT systems. Yeah. We did a great job, right? Thank you. And then we worked at Hyannis, Cape Cod in Massachusetts, a lovely place. I hear there are folks from there in the audience. Yeah. Yes, I worked there, maybe the only IT company on the Cape, I believe. The Cape Cod potato chips, that factory was also in Hyannis. Yeah, we could tell when the production lines were running from the smell in the air. A lovely place, yeah. I did not do much painting during those early years when we were still trying to settle in. But I kept frequenting the library and read plenty of art books and magazines to keep my passion alive. Yeah. There was an art magazine called Northlight Book Club. Any of you artists remember? Northlight Book Club. It was all about art books. So I would go to the library, read the books, and the ones that I really liked, I ordered from them. So this magazine, the Northlight Book Club, had announced a magazine cover competition, and they had a beginner section in there. So we had visited the Boston Flower and Garden Show, and I had taken this picture of a flower which I had never seen before. So I painted it in acrylics and entered it for the show. To my surprise, I was awarded the 4th place in the beginners category. Yeah. So the prize was sponsored by Bob Ross company, and it came with $500 worth of art supplies. So all those years of watching him on TV had paid off. Even though I never painted in his style, watching him made me pick up the paintbrush always, in that sense. Yeah. That small win encouraged me to take my art seriously. Yeah. Here are some of my watercolors. Most of my work now is in oils, but if there is a time constraint or if I'm playing with texture, I paint in acrylics. And sometimes I feel the object's transparency calls for it to be painted in watercolor. You know how the petals are so transparent, and I just feel watercolor is the best medium for that, and sometimes I go with that. And here are a few of my watercolors. And this next one of Saint Veronica is also a watercolor, a full sheet, 20 by 30 inches.
Wow.
I was moved by her story on the pedestal of her statue at St. Peter's Basilica at Vatican. My brain craves that balance of technical problems solving at work and then the creative freedom that art offers. So I like mathematics for the fact that 1 plus 1 can only be 2. Whereas I mix 2 colors in various proportions and get endless varieties of colors. Yeah. I painted Saint Veronica using just 3 or 4 watercolors, but look how much light and form we can convey with just a few. These are few of my paintings that are done using gold leaf. I like the glitter, so it's hard to photograph them, so I sometimes use videos to show the glitter. I think I have a slide, but I hope yes. The Lake County Journal in Illinois interviewed me for this article and talked about the left analytical side of the brain and the right creative side of the brain coming together. Yeah. Talking of brain reminds me of a joke. You know how women are multitasking superpowers? Yes, ladies? A gentleman is in need of a brain transplant surgery. So his surgeon offers him two brains. He says, okay, this one here is 40K and this one here is 10K. Which one do you want? So the patient asks, what's the difference? So the surgeon explains, this one is a man's brain. It has been used sparingly. And this other one belongs to a woman and it has been used thoroughly. So here are some of my acrylic paintings. As I mentioned, if there is a time crunch, I sometimes use acrylics because they dry like very fast. Yeah. For a fundraiser for Ukraine refugees, I was requested to paint a sunflower themed painting because it is their national flower. So since I needed to paint it quickly, I did it in acrylics. So the bottom one sold at the beginning of the show. So I painted a second one at the top. So, and then NASA had released the image of planet Jupiter's surface. I was taken by the abstract patterns, so I used acrylic texture medium on the one on the right. Yeah, yeah, sometimes I experiment. In 2020, I participated in a Paint from Life challenge hosted by artist Brian Mark Taylor's Strada Easel Company. Because I work full time, I struggle to find time. So I opted to paint in smaller size paintings, and I learned a great deal about setting up objects for still life, composing with good light, shapes, and shadows. In fact, I spent more time composing the object than in painting them. I have to be excited about what I'm seeing, otherwise, there's no point in painting, right? Right, artists? I'll share some of my museum visits. Growing up in India, I used to be awestruck by the paintings of Raja Ravi Verma at Sri Jaichamarajendra Art Gallery in Mysore. It's next to the famous Mysore Palace. I also spent long time watching this beautiful painting called Glow of Hope by S.L. Haldankar. Can you believe this is a watercolor? Yes, hard to believe, yeah. The painting is kept in a room by itself with dimmer switches. And you can play with the dimmer switch and see how the light impacts the painting. Yeah. Apart from the famous palace, Mysore is also known for yoga retreats. So it is close to Bangalore, now called Bengaluru, the IT capital. So if you happen to go to Mysore, I highly recommend visiting the gallery. Nitin had taken this photograph of me in a traditional Indian sari during the festival of lights, Diwali. When I shared that with my sisters, they immediately wanted me to paint it. So even though I'm not good with portraiture, I gave it a try. So this, I call it Lady with a Lamp. I combined elements from two photographs and simplified the sari quite a bit. Yeah. At Santa Fe, I visited the local galleries and then went up to Fashion Studios at Taos. We all like the master's works, we know. But here I'm sharing a work by Joseph Henry Sharp that was at the fashion house. Yeah. It is such simplicity of the shapes and the limited color palette and this beautiful light that's in there. I just love this painting. Great sense of light. Yeah. At Kansas, the Nelson Atkins Museum, I spent time looking at this painting by Sargent, especially the way he handles white fabric. And another close up of a painting by Sargent at the Art Institute Chicago when they had his show. I'm now aware that we can't paint white with just white. They say, value does all the work, color gets the credit. And we don't know who said it, but I'm going to say we can't paint white with just white. And I can credit it to me. You are all proof that I said it here. So here I painted a white with lot of non-whites. Yeah. I call this painting the practice. Yeah. Here I am at Kunstmuseum in Vienna, Austria. Of the many notable paintings, I'm sharing Vermeer's The Art of Painting. It's just gorgeous out there. The volume of beautiful paintings. And now, here is my poor attempt at copying his girl with a pearl earring. I debated whether to share it here, but I thought, well, I have to share my humble attempts too. Yeah. Anybody read the book by Tracy Chevalier? Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed reading it, but the movie, not that much. It's always like that. The books are much, much better than the movies. Here, this is my cat with my study of Richard Schmidt's Rose. I thought her pink ears and the cute nose looked harmonious with the pink rose in the background. At the National Museum of Wildlife Art, Jackson Hole, Wyoming, each painting there is a gem. I'm just sharing a close-up of a painting by Robert Kuhn, where I can see his pencil marks that he's known for, and his wall of wildlife art. Such mastery. Yeah, you get inspired by looking at all these paintings to do better in your work. In New York, I have visited the Met, the Frick Museum, and the Salmagundi Club, possibly the oldest art club in USA. It's interesting to see how the paints are laid out on the different artists' palettes there. So there is no one right way of painting. We just have to figure out what works for us. I have taken plein air painting workshops with artist Jim McVicker and recently with Mark Anderson from Door County, Wisconsin. I have also taken weekend workshops with Frankie Johnson and Susan Plough locally in Illinois. My plein air attempts are modest, but I enjoy the thrill of exploring the outdoors, and I feel painting plein air sharpens my composition skills and informs my studio practice. So at home, I'm a member of the Lake County Art League, Illinois, who completed their 91 years. So we meet once a month for demos, and we conduct group shows and invite an artist to critique our work. And I have learned a great deal from those critiques. Yeah. So yeah, we have to be receptive to the critique to grow. Yeah. I'm also a member of North Shore Art Club in Winnetka, Illinois. They completed 101 years last year. Yeah. So I display at the Illinois Holobog at their silent auction with the bird themes. And I also participate in the Art of the Land show by Land Conservancy of McHenry County. Did you hear that through restoration efforts, we now have a herd of bison in the Kane County, Illinois, after 200 years? Yes. So we have to take heart in the good that we do, no matter how slow the progress seems. Yeah. Design or composition is the most important element of a painting. So we all learn about the golden mean, avoiding the tangents, using odd number of elements to make it interesting, leading the viewer with the line and curves, etc. So one principle is not to have equal value distribution. That is, to design with a majority of one value and a little bit of the other. So in this painting of Koi, though, I'm mildly suggesting the yin and yang, and the light and dark values are a bit equal. So I carried the dark value a little bit towards the right and used the color temperature shift in the lighter color near the red fish. So what I'm saying is, we have to learn the rules, but bend them if we need to with intention. In the painting of the still life, the shadow edge on the left in my photo reference was straight. But I gave it a mild curve to go with the other curves in the painting. So if you see, there are all the other elements in that painting have curves. So one straight line in that painting would, change the vibe of the painting. So we have to, look really carefully with the composition and come up with the, best one. Yeah. I get wonderful light on my kitchen table. So when I see a good light, I work up a frenzy. I post the fruit and take hundreds of pictures from various angles, even climbing up on the chair. So you can know that the food doesn't get done that day, cooked that day. And poor Nitin is holding this black, thingies on the back because I don't want the clutter to show up. Yeah, he is patient that way. He understands me. I have a mini collection of stainless steel plates that reflect the object beautifully. So I have heard people save their good china for company, whereas I save these steel plates so they don't lose the shine. Sometimes the oddest thing that you see can trigger an idea for a painting. This still life of a tomato, do you see any connection between this and the tsunami that happened in Japan? I'm sure not. In 2011, remember when the tsunami hit Japan and we had the Fukushima nuclear reactor disaster? You know, they were trying to cool the reactors by dousing large amounts of water. Somewhere on the internet, I had seen an image of Japan's flag with a teardrop to signify the world is crying for Japan. I have not saved the original image, so my apologies for not crediting the original creator. But the image looked something like this, with the flag of Japan with a teardrop. Seeing this gave me an idea to post the tomato with some water and create drops and a puddle. I'm sharing this with you only because I trust you all understand the quirks of an artist's mind. So from this to this. A little bit about my process. I don't have a standard method of how I begin a painting. Sometimes I tone the canvas, and sometimes I start from blank white. I like to work on smooth canvas though. So I typically prep my canvas with 2 to 3 layers of Michael Harding's non-absorbent gesso with sanding in between. So that gives me a really nice smooth surface to paint on. I have lots of different colors of paint tubes, but I use a subset of them in any given painting to maintain the harmony. This is how I hang my paint brushes after the dreadful cleanup. I wish they can invent a robot for that. The paint usually settles and hardens near the metal ferrule, and it splays the hair. So I hang them upside down. When I had my solo show, a lady walked by in the first 15 minutes of the show. She stood looking at one of my sunflower paintings with delight. She then approached me and asked, "Do you think you can add a bee in the painting?" So I walked her to the painting and showed her that it's already there. She was elated and bought the painting. She is a beekeeper, so she has a connection with bees. She has since collected many more of my paintings. Here I am sharing the making of that painting, the video that you will run. I tone the paper in the color of the background and keep it under my wash palette so I can see the colors better. I collect tons of references, and if you wanted a butterfly, I have it that. And the bee, of course, and the goldfinch too. In the next video, I'm using an acetate transparency to find the best position for placing the deer in the painting of Mount Rainier near Seattle, Washington. Hugh will play the next video for us. So the deer are moving. Hey, anything that makes my life easy. This view is from Paradise Point, a very beautiful spot indeed. Next, I'll play a video of a deer fawn. It's my mother-in-law's favorite painting. Here again, I'm toning the paper and keeping it under my glass palette. Something about those cute ears, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. My mother-in-law passed away last year, so we're going to keep this in our collection in her memory. At the end of a plein air painting session, this next video I share, it was as if I painted a fall leaf, and it was as if the leaf wanted to shake hands with this painted counterpart. It's very small. I'll share a video. Ain't that cute? Yeah, sometimes little things happen like that, and sometimes funny things happen too. If there is time at the end during QA, I'll share some funny things. But in the next video, I titled it Love You Mom. So Hugh will run the video for us. It's a great feeling to see when the eyes come alive, you know. I share this painting every Mother's Day, you know, on the Facebook. In the next video, I'm sharing my gold leaf process. Gold leaf is a messy process, but I like the final result. Hugh will share the video and I'll talk through it. Here I'm using 23 karat double gold leaf transfer sheets. They're also called patent sheets. The loose leaf sheets are a bit difficult to work with, and the gold flakes tend to fly and float around in the air. So we need to have a controlled environment. Don't keep any other paintings nearby. You know. I wear a mask, make sure there are no fans running, and make sure not to breathe over the flakes. I love how the glitter of the gold makes the painting come alive. Even in low light areas, the gold flickers and looks different. And in my last video here, I'm sharing Mr. Cardinal from the Mountain Oyster Club show last year. Yeah. So I have to sometimes make video to show, you know, how it looks different from different angles. Yeah. I have sold work last 3 years, so thank you to my collectors.
Thank you.
This sums up exactly why I paint. I'd like to give a shout out to my husband, Nitin, who is here with us tonight. I couldn't do it without his support. And that is the reason I sign my paintings Aruna Nitin. He gets the credit. He helps me with framing and makes these wonderful covers to keep them from damage. And from having attended many art shows with me, he can give a good critique. And his pet peeve is that I sign my name too close to the edge. He definitely knows what value means in art talk, But I'm sure he's yet to master the difference between lilac and lavender. I would like to thank the Friends of Western Art for giving me this opportunity to share a bit of my art journey with you. I'm thankful to all my collectors, some of whom are here tonight, for collecting my art and sharing how much they enjoy seeing my work in their homes. My plan is to keep creating and add more beauty to the world with my creations. Thank you.
I have a question, but perhaps some of you do as well. We have a few moments. But, I feel like I've just been to school, and you're one of the only presenters that we've had here who really showed their influences.
Oh.
It was so interesting to me, and I'm sure to the rest of the group. But have you thought of teaching, or do you do any teaching of your process?
All my friend circle, they keep asking me to teach, but because I work, I want all the time for my painting. So yeah, one of these days I might do it when I feel I have enough to share with the folks. Yeah.
Anyone else have a question? Yes, go ahead.
What directed you towards using gold relief?
Quite recently, I would say 5 years back. Yeah. Before using the real gold leaf, I have used the fake gold leaf, like imitation gold leaf. Yeah, I have done couple watercolors with that. Silhouetted birds with the sun, in a gold leaf, that kind of stuff. And orchids with a background, they have sold well. And then for my good, like oil paint, I wanted to use the real gold leaf. Yeah. There is definitely a difference, in the shine. Yeah.
Any other question? If not, thank you for your first.
Thank you.
Aruna, I feel like we have a new friend here. It's so wonderful to meet you and to hear your story. And
Thank you.
thank you so much for sharing. You know what? I had two really strong feelings about this while you were talking. I'm going to cry. One is that grief has really impacted your creativity, and you really shared that with us. And I wonder, maybe you can talk a little bit about that, just really briefly. But when my mom died, I felt like there was a hole in my soul, and I needed to fill it with creativity. And I feel like you had the same experience.
I have really not spoken about it for that reason. I don't want to make people sad, right? So, but at least in my case, because I have the art, I can go there and escape. And it's also a joy when you're painting. all of your focus is on doing the art, so you forget the time, passing. And losing a young child is, can be the hardest thing. When my mom passed away, last year, on the days that I used to look for what to paint and things like that, and when I came up with really good news, okay, Patty has invited you for a talk, then that kind of validates you, oh, you have to continue this. Somebody there loves your work, So that gave me a boost like anything. That's why I said this one is for her.
Well, I look forward to seeing your work in future art shows here at the Mountain Waster Club, and I hope that you will continue to share your journey with us. And I know all of us will enjoy following you and your journey. So thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
being
folks.
here.
Thank you.